welcome along to another top 10 video. Today we are covering the top 10 armies of the Dark Ages. Now, I have been in the past a little dismissive of this period. I don't play in the leagues in this period. I'm usually always playing classical, imperial and early medieval. They're my favorite periods. But when I went through all the armies, there actually is quite a lot of variety. I missed, I guess, some of the DLCs that brought in those Eastern armies. And so, yes, I bought the DLC, but I didn't really use armies in this period much. So then everything becomes much more varied, and you have less shield wall, spear, heavy infantry dominated armies, and a lot more cavalry, elephants, mass bowmen, and so on and so forth. So yes, actually this period is quite interesting, and as we go through all the armies you'll see why. Now, what are we going to start with? We are going to start with the Christian Nubian 550 AD list, and let's zoom in. We haven't zoomed in much in the other videos. These wonderful bowmen. Thing about these units is they are above average quality. So your standard bowmen are average and they will break pretty easily. In my tests, and especially I find with this kind of army, you often get quite interesting maps that help you out. Any kind of rough ground, stream, river, woods, this is going to be great for your army. And there's quite a lot of cavalry heavy armies in this period, and this army can be really tough to fight. I did play against, I think Richard took this list out in a tournament a year or two ago, and it was difficult when you've got cavalry and you're trying to navigate the rough ground, go around, and you're just getting shot at. They're holding because of their quality. You can put generals in units that you need to hold. When you've got so many units, I mean, in my build here, we're using 1400 points because that's what we use in the league. We've got 18 units. That's a heck of a lot of firepower. So they can easily disrupt infantry. A lot of the infantry in this period is protected. Cavalry is a great target. So just tough. And these camels as well are a bit of a counter against cavalry. And when you look at the list, even though we haven't got that much choice, we've got some sort of key units, and not just one or two of them. Javelin Light Horse is a really key unit. Great unit for the price. Can charge in the back of things, disrupt things, chase down skirmishers, block units from charging, etc., etc. And you've got here a nice number of Javelin Horse. We've got 6 units we could take. That's a really great unit. Camels, look, we can get up to 11. Even some superior quality lancers. So to supplement our bowmen, which are only 42, these are some really key units that can help us out. We've got enough lights. Those of you that want to take more lights out, we can take up to 8 light archers, and there's a few javelin men, which are also the cheap end javelin men. So it's a nice selection, and we've got some spearmen. Okay, they're raw, but you can put a general in or just hold them back a bit. Generally, raw spearmen do fairly well on the battlefield. They're quite good against cavalry. Spear is good against swordsmen. So for the price, they're a very cost-effective unit. So a nice selection there of units. So just a difficult army to face. If you want to be fairly defensive, if you want to make use of the map, you can make it really difficult for your opponent. So I do think that justifiably this army goes in at number 10. Number 9, we're going for the Turkish 600 AD list with Arab allies. This is a nicely balanced army. We've got some decent infantry, got the armoured spearmen, we've got superior quality impact foot, your standard spear. Then we've got a load of horse archers, and I've only taken just over half of what you can take. We've got a nice amount of massed archers as well to help out. Good amount of light cavalry. So just really nicely balanced army. Yes, we don't have loads of skirmishers, but when you've got so many horse archers and a good amount, I think up to 6 of the massed archers you can take, this is just enough. And you can take another 2, actually 3 of the light archers and 2 more javelin men if you want more lights, which some of you will. The lancers are good as well, the cheaper end lancers, and we've got access also to some of the superior quality ones if you want to add there. So nice options, nice options. Obviously the horse archers are going to be doing the damage, but when you've got so many massed archers together with decent infantry, they can hold one end of the battlefield while your nomad horse archers run around and cause havoc to the enemy line. So I do think this army does deserve to go in on my list at number 9. At number 8, we have an Indian army, the Indian Rajput 650 AD list. I think I'm right in saying that so far we've done a classical top 10, we've done imperial top 10. I think there was always an Indian army on my list. Just very unique, dangerous armies with the elephants and loads of massed bowmen and a good amount of lancers. Just hard to manage, hard to play against. But I don't think I'd ever put an Indian army in the top 5. It's just kind of hit or miss because we don't really have decent infantry at all. It's just your standard medium foot that will break in the open against heavy foot and cavalry often. We're relying on our massed archers, which again, if we have to put them in the open, which inevitably we will have to, because if we want to push forward a bit, some of these units will be out in the open, and then you've got to be very careful where you place them. Elephants are pretty hit or miss as well. After the charge, if they don't disrupt things, they can get stuck in melee. And I think as an Indian player, you need to take 4 or 5 at minimum, I'd say. When you've got access to up to 7, I think you may as well roll the dice on the elephants and just take a few extra. So I probably would take 4 or 5 personally if I was taking this list out, because again, we don't have any decent infantry. So elephants are good counter against the enemy cavalry and great against the enemy infantry. So you do have to take a fair number of them. But we've also got some great lancers, the cheap end lancers. We can take loads of them. And also the superior Indian lancers. I think these Indian lists, I might be right if I say they've been upgraded. I think the last few years suggestions were made and some of these lists were upgraded. So this is a pretty nice army, because I think at the beginning when the game came out, I'm not sure if all the Indian lists had these lancers. So they really do add something to this army, because they're just, when you've got so many backed up by elephants, backed up by loads of archers that are going to disrupt things before you charge in, that is dangerous. And the light horse as well. I mean, look, javelin horse, we can take up to 10. Great unit, very cost effective. So I do think this list deserves to be in the top 10. Okay, we can't put it in the top 5 because we don't have great infantry. The bowmen hard to manage. So I don't recommend this to inexperienced new players. This kind of army, you can easily just rout half your army before you know it. So a little bit tricky, but very fun. Maybe you should try them out in friendly games and see how you go. Then you'll learn how to use elephants most effectively, how to set up your lancers with the massed bowmen, how to use javelin horse effectively as well. These units can be great, charging in the rear of things and scouting and charging down lights and so on and so forth. So yes, I do think there's some good units in this list, and it deserves to go in at number 8. At number 7, we're going with the Andalusian 756 AD army. This is probably the first army that I'm going to recommend to new players. If you're entering the league or multiplayer tournaments, you want a half decent army that's not going to rout and you can make a few mistakes with. Then this one is a nice one, because with the ones we've looked at, the Indian army with all the elephants, loads of bowmen, hard to use. Sometimes those units can break fairly easily. The Christian Nubian army, again a bowman army, hard to use, and the Turkish army with all the horse archers. You need to know how to effectively use that kind of unit, the horse archer unit, to get the best out of that list. So with this army, we've got some really decent veteran Muslim spearmen that are going to hang around and beat a lot of units that are in front of them. One of the best units in the game, actually, backed up by spear. We've also got some irregular foot. We can take up to 11. So this list has quite a lot of flexibility, because if there's a lot of rough ground, you take extra irregular foot. If there's more space, open ground, you might want to take more javelin horse, which, as you know, I love. Or we've got some cheap cavalry, which is also nice as well, backed up by some lancers. Good number of skirmishers, just great all round. Lots of options. Raw spearmen, as I've said, are very cost effective. So yes, on most maps, against most armies, you're going to have half a chance. Spear are pretty good against elephants. Lancers are great against enemy cavalry. We've got a load up to 5 massed archers. So again, if there's more rough ground, or you can find a spot somewhere for your massed archers to support your spear and lancers, you can do it if you want to. You can take loads of lights if you want extra lights. So lots of options. We've even got the light horse archers, which are a great price as well. So yes, this is a really decent army. I think a lot of good units that you can use. So I have no problem recommending this army to new players, and it's going to go in at number 7. At number 6, we've got the Byzantine 988 AD list. No allies. I think the base build is perfectly fine. We've got an interesting mix of units. We've got some mixed bow, regular kind, and we've got the raw kind. Obviously, in a real battle, I wouldn't have all my raw units together. I'd have them in reserve, mixed in with the regular units. It's just for this video I'm showing you. But they can be quite useful, because even though you don't get tons of casualties with the mixed bow, as the game wears on and you're firing at protected units and so on, they can be quite effective. So fairly useful units. The lancers actually in the Byzantine list are also mixed bow, 50% bow, and probably they are more effective because cavalry is more susceptible to missile fire and disrupting from missile fire. So that's quite useful to have your lancers that are 50% bow. I am going to say that probably with this particular list, because we've got a load of nomad horse archers that are quite cost effective, our infantry is not too expensive, I probably would take maybe one of the Varangian Guard, because they are spear and highly superior, and maybe even the Cataphract. I guess if you've got access to them, and 1400 points, not huge armies, so these kind of units can actually have quite an effect on the battlefield. So the Guard unit will help our infantry out, and because we've only got in my build 4 Lancer units, then the Cataphracts can definitely help out. I probably wouldn't take 2 of either, but maybe 1 of each is the way to go. Fair selection of skirmishers, just quite a nicely balanced army, because horse archers are great, spear is great, a few lancers and a couple of elite units. So I think justifiably this army is going to go in at number 6. Number 5, we've got the Viking in Ireland 795 AD list with Scots allies. Good infantry in this army, the Hussars, superior armoured offensive spearmen, picked warband, superior impact foot, some good spear, and essentially for us with the Scots we get some cheap medium foot, light spear, full swordsman, and these units will help us protect our flanks, support the main line, because as you can see we haven't got many cavalry units, we've got no light cav, and so cheap infantry absolutely essential, and they'll help us while the main line breaks and smashes most infantry of the period. These Hussars are one of the best units, best infantry units in this period. I've also taken extra skirmishers. We've got a good amount because of the lack of cavalry and light cavalry, you have to take extra skirmishers, so that is also going to help us. Obviously this isn't as flexible as some of the other armies we've seen that had a better balance between light cav and infantry, but I do think in the hands of a good player on the right map, and this map is a bit narrow, which is good for us, the spear is going to hold against cavalry charges and do well against the enemy infantry. Extra skirmishers are going to help, and the cheaper infantry is also going to help us. So I do think this is quite a decent army. Maybe 5 is a little high, but it's still a good army that's going to stick around, and the spear is going to do well against cavalry, do well against enemy infantry, and do well against elephants as an example. So yes, I'm going to stick it at number 5. At number 4 on my list is the German 888 AD army with Magyar allies. On reflection, perhaps slightly higher than it should be. However, when you break it all down and you compare this army to some of the other armies on my list, the Turks at 9, yes, they had the nomad horse archers, but they didn't have as good infantry, because we've got dismounted armoured lancers here, superior quality spearmen. The Vikings did have good infantry, but they had hardly any cavalry. And the Byzantine list had some good cav, but overall our infantry is better. So it is still going to be on my top 10. Yes, is it going to be worthy of being at number 4? We'll leave that up to you, and you can leave some comments below if you like. We don't have loads of skirmishers, but you can take up to 6, backed up by some massed archers, so that's a plus point. Good infantry, as I've said. We've got access to a little bit of light cavalry, but we've got some cheap end lancers, which is nice. We've got armoured cavalry, and this unit's quite nice as well. Some of you like the expert armoured horse archers, superior quality armoured bow, so that's a plus. So it's just a nice balance there. Spear, we've even got a few of the raw shield wall. They're quite cheap and good for protecting flanks and supporting. So, a nicely balanced army. Yes, I'd like some cheaper light cavalry. That's a negative. I'd like maybe some javelin men, perhaps. But when you've got a good amount of nomad horse archers, backed up by some lancers, really good infantry, and we've got 5. It's a good number for this period. It is going to be a decent army. That, as I've said, when you put this army up against some of the other armies I've looked at, probably could do very well. So it's going in at number 4. At number 3, we've got the Dilami 928 AD list with Arab allies. This is, I think definitely a top 3 army. You've got great infantry. I've taken 4, but you can take 7 if you want, of the veteran Dilami foot, superior quality impact foot, and then a load of standard impact foot. And to be honest with you, even the standard impact foot, as a lot of you will know from playing the game, can be very dangerous. So when you've got so many impact foot units, not just 3 or 4, basically all your infantry, that is tough to fight. Backed up by loads of lancers, backed up by an elephant, and if you want, you've got some flexibility. If there's a load of rough ground, or you're fighting maybe cavalry heavy army or whatever, you can take up to 5 massed archer units. So really nice, and a fair amount of lights for this kind of army. We've got 5 and a little bit of light horse as well, and it's the decent light horse, the lancer kind. So that when you've got 5 units of bowmen and 4 of the light cavalry that are lancers, and you can take another one out if you want, backed up by so many lancer units, that's a pretty tough army to face. And this elephant as well can cause problems. So yeah, I think this justifiably will go in at number 3. Okay, we could have some cheaper end light cavalry. That's true. We could have more skirmishers. That's true. But overall, when you look at the composition of the army, all the impact foot we have, all the lancers we have, I think all of our cavalry are lancers actually. I mean, including the light horse. I think everything that I've taken, yeah, and then the elephant as well. So this really does pack a punch, this army. And the thing also about these units, they are medium foot, so that gives you flexibility. They can fight in the open and they can fight on the rough. And usually, and I mean, yes, once in melee, it's a disadvantage to be medium foot, but you've got the impact phase. Quite often you're going to disrupt things on impact. You've got a good chance. So, fearsome. A pretty fearsome army. Justifiably, this is going in at number 3. At number 2, we're going to go with an Arab army, the Arab Umayyad 685 AD list. This is a nice list. Now, I will say there are a few Arab armies that probably should be on my top 10 list, but I'm just going to choose one Arab army because they are often quite similar, and just for the sake of variety, just choose one. But there are a number of Arab armies that you could argue should be on the list, like the Arab in Syria, Iraq army, or the Arab conquest army, but they tend to be fairly infantry heavy, and with this list you get a nice selection of cavalry and light horse especially. So I like that balance, because when you look at our infantry, even in this list, we've got 4 units of veteran superior quality impact foot. We've got the armoured defensive spearmen that are great, and the standard spearmen. So we've got some pretty decent infantry already, backed up by loads of lancers, or a fair amount, not quite as many as the last army we looked at, but still a good amount. And with the Muslim lancers, there's space there if you want more lancers. We've also got the armoured kind. They're quite a good price at 44. So only 2 more than the protected lancers, but they are above average. So you've got a choice there between armour or quality. And a load of javelin horse, which I love, up to 6, and we've taken 4, and I like the light horse archers as well. We've got 2 here. So nicely balanced army, pretty decent infantry, some great impact foot, a load of lancers, lots of light cavalry, which will help with flanking and engaging the enemy, softening up the enemy before our lancers go in, because light cavalry can be really effective from mid-game on, with holding up enemy infantry with rear charges and so on. Decent amount of skirmishers. Flexibility, what have we got? We can take some massed archers. I haven't taken them. So if there's a lot of rough ground and you're a player that likes massed archers, we've got up to 4. Also regular foot, we've got up to 4 we can take. So again, if you want to take out a few of the heavy foot, we can take it more irregular. You don't want quite as many light horse, then again you can add some infantry. There's some space there, and there's space with the cavalry. Like I said, 42 is a good price. You want some light horse, we've got options. So quite a flexible list with the lancers, with the spearmen, armoured spear, veteran impact foot, good amount of light horse, good amount of skirmishers. I feel fairly comfortable saying this can go in at number 2. At number one, we've made it here. If you've liked the video so far, please like and subscribe. This is the Ghaznavid 962 AD list with Turkish allies. We've got a nice combination of impact foot, even though we haven't got loads of impact foot. We've got the veteran kind and the standard kind, some spear, but it is the elephant, up to 5 elephants. So if you're up against a cav heavy army, you might want to take extra elephants. If you're up against, say, for example, the Dilami that we looked at just earlier, war elephants might well do very well, because these units are not spear and they could well disrupt against elephants. So it's a plus point, and we've got a ton of Turkish cavalry, the horse archers. So some of those armies with their lancers, those lancers are going to disrupt against these units. Fair amount of light horse, some skirmishers, but it really is that combo of impact foot, elephants, and the Turkish cav that's the killer. And even massed archers, I think it's about 7, yeah. So if there's a lot of rough ground, depending on the army you're facing, you want to take extra massed archers, you can do it. So it's a nicely balanced, dangerous army, this. And we've got some of what are really the expert armoured horse archers, the Gilman. So they're actually quite a nice unit, because they can disrupt things with a missile fire, and then once in melee, even against lancers, because they usually survive because of their superior quality, once in melee they can actually beat a lot of units, so they're a decent unit as well. So I think I am fairly confident that this army deserves to be high up in the list. Does it deserve to be number 1? I'll leave that up to you, see what you think. But the amount of elephants we have, because those Indian armies that we looked at, they just don't have the same amount of quality infantry that we have here, and they don't have the horse archers. So this is a really dangerous army, and I think it deserves to go in at number 1. If you agree, then make some comments. Disagree, make some comments. Thanks a lot for watching. And what are we going to do next? Let's go to Bronze Age. So maybe in a week or two I will produce a top 10 for the best armies for Bronze Age. See you again soon.